Welcome to the Everyone Has a Story podcast. Back in the early 1990s, I was a tennis professional by trade. And every year in the fall, I would go to New York City to attend the USTA Teachers Conference. And they would always give us passes to the US Open tennis tournament that was going on at that same time for the first couple days of the tournament. And so I was really looking forward to day number one because the featured match in the evening, which is always going to be the more fun, the more raucous crowd in New York City, the featured match had Jimmy Connors. Now, Jimmy was about ready to turn 40, but he was still a fan favorite of most everybody at the US Open, but especially me. I grew up watching Jimmy. So I can't wait for the match. And, we're just hoping for a good match. Like I said, Jimmy's turning 40 years old. Well, it's an incredible match. It goes on and on. It's the featured match. So it's the last one going on. And after 5 sets, Jimmy finally wins the match, but it's now like 1:30 in the morning. So we're all excited, but now there's like 20,000 people leaving this stadium court to go across the railroad tracks to the subway platform to get our ride back into New York City. So we're all rushing there like cattle to feeding. And each subway, it is probably 4, maybe 5 cars that held maybe 40 or 50 people each car, but they only came like every 20, 30, 40 minutes. And so we rushed over there. I think we were on like not the first set of cars, but the second set. So we get on, and we're filling that each car because we all want to get home. It's late at night. So we're all bunched in like a bunch of cattle, and we have to stop at every platform on the way just because someone might want to get out or someone might want to get on. But there was nobody getting on ours because it was full. We barely got the doors closed. So we'd go to one, doors close, open and close, go to the next one, doors open and close. And now we're starting to go through what I'm going to call not the best of areas, through between Flushing Meadows and through to New York City. It's a little bit sketchy, to say the least. Well, we get up to the platform, and I'm looking out the window, and I see that this guy is standing there, but the guy's all by himself, but he's wearing a long trench coat. And in New York City during the US Open, it's September, so it's hot and it's humid. So why is someone wearing, especially like at 3 o'clock in the morning, a long trench coat? So the door's open. He walks towards our door and he says, "Everybody, get out or I'm going to start shooting." So, we're tennis players, we're tennis fans, so it's not like we've experienced too much of this. So we don't see a gun, but you know what? We trust the guy. If we don't start moving, he's going to start shooting. So we all exit the subway car. He gets in. As the doors close, and he turns around, he says, "I love that practical joke," and he starts laughing at us. Well, by now, the train's gone. The next train shows up. It's completely full. We might have got one, maybe 2 of us standing on this platform all by ourselves in the middle of nowhere. They got on. And after about probably 2.5 additional hours, we finally get a car that has room for us all to get dressed. By this time, I think there's maybe 13 or 14 of us left. We get back to the hotel, and I'm laying there thinking, wow, I'm glad that I had a bunch of people surrounding me because I was scared. I could tell everybody else was scared. But, we just didn't know because none of us had ever experienced something like that. But at the same time, we got through it. We got home safely, got back to our hotel safely. But the fact is that there was a lot of encouragement. There was a lot of just simple beauty within that scary moment after it was all said and done. But now, how many times do we as individuals even think about that? So now let's fast forward to today. My car, like everybody else's car, has a GPS system. And in my GPS system, I can set any setting I want, any route that I want. I can take a route that says most scenic, fastest, no tolls, only highways, not freeways. I can do whatever I want. I can set whatever I want. And then I got thinking, why can't we do that, or why don't we do that in our lives? Why can't we go to our GPS, set that setting to really get to where we want to be? And so that's really going to be the topic today is really, do we have control of those settings? And do we have the ability to not have to conform? Just like me staying with those other 40 or 50 people on that subway platform in New York City, we didn't have a playbook to follow to say, okay, this is what we're supposed to do. This is what we're not supposed to do. We just did what we thought we were supposed to do. No one argued. We just stayed together. And that's what we're going to talk about today. But I can't think of a better guy to have this conversation about building this kind of community where it's not just everybody conforming, but everybody really articulating their thoughts, their inner thoughts, their creativity. And today we got Perry Knoppert. Perry, welcome and thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Roger. Good to be here.
So,
Exciting to be here.
yes,
I
absolutely.
have
So,
no idea what we're gonna do, Roger.
yeah, me neither. So we're just gonna hit
Yay.
the ground rolling. So Perry is the founder of the Octopus movement, nonlinear thinking advocate. He's a philanthropist, artist, and he's an Octovist. So before I let you tell us really who you are, what's an Octovist?
It's someone active in the octopus movement to change something and to solve the unsolvable.
I love it. So I kind of gave everybody a quick view of who you are, Perry. Tell us a little bit more about who Perry is.
Perry's 48. Perry lives in the Netherlands. I'm Dutch. You can hear that on my accent, probably, hopefully. Um, I'm a nonlinear thinker, but I think everybody is a nonlinear thinker. I'm weird and I'm a curious misfit. I think that's the best way to describe me. I'm a bit different than normally. I'm a bit curious and very much a misfit in today's society.
Every time that I hear you say that about yourself, I think of that Christmas show about how there was all those toys at Christmas time. Santa's elves would make all these toys, and all the misfit toys would be sent to this island of misfits. And they so badly wanted to be wrapped up and put under a tree so some little kid could enjoy. But the higher gods or whoever, the people in charge of Christmas, maybe Santa and his wife, I don't know, determined that they were misfits and they should not be allowed to be given to the kids at Christmas time. And that's really kind of who we're going to be talking about today is this island of misfits who we all think that we're misfits and we just have been told we just don't fit in. So with that being said, what is the octopus movement? Let's get that out of the way first and foremost.
The official explanation of the octopus movement is a global mycelium of nonlinear thinkers solving the unsolvable for a better and more sustainable future for all of us. What it's really is a global movement of weirdos, of people that don't fit in the box. And I have always been very excited about people that are slightly different. And 3 years ago, I thought, why not create a nonprofit, global nonprofit of people that don't fit in the box? Because I think we're missing out on an amazing opportunity if we're not looking at these kind of people.
Yeah. So why do you think that really setting aside a community of these people, like-minded people, nonlinear thinkers, why should that matter today or why does it matter today?
Well, you know, we're it's a long story, Roger. It I cannot really answer that very quickly. Why does it matter? It matters in different ways. It matters for me because 4 years ago I did a hard reset in my life, gave away everything, became homeless. I was fed up with the life I was living. I was an entrepreneur. I wanted to be an artist. I wasn't happy on things as they were going. And in a bigger picture, we're not doing a very good job on this planet, I think. We're destroying a lot of things. Something is going wrong. And the something is not always easy to explain what the something is. So many things came together where I thought, but we need to do something. We need to bring these people together, these nonlinear thinkers, because it will create something amazing for sure. And I can explain later how that happened. But that's, this is why it matters. There's something interesting happening in the world, and we need people that are different thinkers.
So let's talk about those somethings. We've, over time, have grown to be a society where we accept that it's okay to fall short of reaching those somethings, whatever those somethings are in our life. Why is that the case today?
I think we live in a very linear world, and we humans are nonlinear thinkers. And I think we're trained at school, at home, in our society, at our jobs, to think in a very linear way. Is that a bad thing? No, not at all. But we're missing out on something that is very important as well, and that's nonlinear thinking. I think humans are all nonlinear thinkers. Why? There is not a 2-year-old on this planet who is a linear thinker. We're trained to be linear thinkers. We're trained to think in, this is what I want to achieve, and I will use this system or method to to reach that end goal, to achieve what I want to achieve. And so we're conditioned in our thinking from thousands of years, and this is how we operate. It's the laws of thought created by Mr. Doyle in 1815, which is the basics of computer programming. It's the laws of thought that is in humanity as well. This is how we think in a linear way. And when we look in today's world, we talk about neurodiversity, for instance, and we see people that are so different, and we have one system, for example, education, and you have to do it that way. This is how it works. And if the system doesn't work for you, then bad luck for you. But is it really bad luck? This is my big question. And again, I'm not against the system, not at all. But is the system not like a piece of art? Is it not something we need to look at and maybe rediscover? Don't we need to have a look at the educational system where people that don't fit in the system, are they necessarily not the right people to do the job? I don't think so. I think they're brilliant in their thinking. NASA also thinks so. They did a, and when they were in the space race, when was it, 1965, they asked the consultancy company, we're looking for the most brilliant creative minds. We want to go to the moon and we have a few issues to solve. And this consultancy firm said, we will find the most brilliant creative minds. And they found them, Roger, where they are? 98% of this group of people is brilliantly creative. They can solve things like no other. You know who they are? They're the 3 to 5-year-old kids. They're creatively brilliant. And they looked at adults as well with the average age of 31. They interviewed 280,000 adults. You know how many of them were creatively brilliant, Roger? 2%.
Sad, yeah, I'm sad to hear.
2%, right? And we need to look at that. And the world is changing. We have created artificial intelligence, which is absolutely fantastic. Things are happening in the world. With the Octopus movement, we're looking at humanity. We are amazing creatures. We have consciousness. We have creativity. We have art. We have poetry. We can write. We can create music. It's awesome. And we need to look into that and maybe disconnect that from the systems that are there.
I love it. So let's talk about those thoughts. One of my favorite programs that you have created with the Octopus movement is the beauty between thoughts. Tell us what that means and what it does.
The beauty between thoughts for me is the space where nonlinear thinking begins. Let me explain nonlinear thinking. The way to explain nonlinear thinking is to think about linear thinking. Linear thinking is from going from A to B to C to D with your end goal in mind. I even think this is, do I want to share this? Yeah, this is a thought that I have, that linear thinking is a form of self hypnosis. I need to explain that. When you use linear thinking, you have an end goal in mind, right, Roger? This is where I want to go. Or your teacher saying this is where you want to go, or your coach, or your guru, or whatever. This is the success. This is your freedom. This is where you want to be. And then you create a system or a method to go there. That's linear thinking. You follow the route to the end goal. Now, two things are happening. You're following a linear line. You're missing out on all kinds of things along the way. You're going in a straight line. And the end of your journey is your perception. This is where you want to go. Who knows that this is really where you want to go? This is something you've created in the beginning, at the start of your journey. So you're using your own method, or your teacher's method, or your guru's method, or your coach's method, or whatever, to go where your perception is. And that's a form of self hypnosis. That's linear thinking. Nonlinear thinking is to let go of everything. But how do we do that if we're conditioned so many years in using this method of thinking to create linear constructs to get where you want to go? So, in order to find your nonlinear thinking, is to let go of these thoughts, these self hypnosis. I think the space of nonlinear thinking is the empty space between thoughts. It's to let go of that self hypnosis in a linear line. This is what I want to do, and this is where I want to end up. A lot of people will disagree with me and will say, no, this is bullshit, Perry. You need to focus. You need to aim where you're going for, and then you get your result. But who's telling you that that's the result you really need? What does it benefit in the world? We're blindsided. There's so much more possible, and we're not seeing it. And systems are supporting us in our linear thinking. Now, the Institute of Economic Affairs did some really interesting research about linear and nonlinear thinking. And they discovered that people that are nonlinear thinkers are able to allow chaos in their lives. They're able to embrace innovation. They're fine with insecurities. They're very adaptive. And people that work in a linear structure, they don't like chaos that much. They don't like change. They rather have everything planned out. So they're in control and they know what will happen in the near future and the distant future. Like, I know exactly by the end of next month, I'm going to make this amount of money. And it gives them security. Why do people do that? It's because then you don't have to look at your own mental state. You keep everything in control and you just rely on the system that you have created in your thinking. Doing it that way, we're missing out on some amazing possibilities. And I know I sound very woo-woo like this. It's not. It's it's so simple. And that's the beauty between thoughts, is to allow that space to be there in your life, to think about it and to say, okay, it's maybe a form of meditation. It's being creative. It's creating new solutions, new insights that you're not expecting of yourself. And a very quick tip help for everyone that's listening right now. Meditation. How do you meditate? There's no system to meditate, according to me. Meditation is your thing. This is your conversation with your brain. It's with your thoughts, with your mind. But you can do one small, tiny little cool exercise, and it is to be quiet, to focus on yourself, and ask this simple question. Dear mind, dear thinking, what is your next thought? Do that, and you will experience the emptiness between thoughts. It's really cool. Did I make up this? No, I read about this and I tried it myself and I was really amazed. It's the simple question to yourself. What is the next thought?
So you've talked about how we've, as a society of different individuals, we've been conditioned to follow certain rules. And there's some of us who feel that anxiety to be ourselves. We have that goal to be ourselves and not just follow the same path that everybody else is. How does someone become aware that they are walking down that path that they don't necessarily need to be on?
A lot of people talk about the authentic self, and what does it mean? And you know exactly what it means. There is an awareness where you know you're masking and you know there is something out there. And you just know it. The only difficulty is that the whole world around us is having these expectations. The expectations of having your own home, having a job, and make sure you pay your mortgage, you have your kids and your spouse and whatnot. I'm not saying you shouldn't be having all of that, but a lot of people can feel and know that there is something else going on, that they want to be themselves, and there is a kind of mismatch in how they're living their lives. In the Octopus movement, a recent change is happening that more and more people are coming into the movement. The movement started with people that don't fit in the box. They're a bit weird, you know, weird people coming together. And, oh, I can be myself. That's how it started. But now people are coming into the movement like Felix, who's a new founding member of the Octopus movement. He used to be a trauma surgeon. He's a doctor. He trained to be a doctor. He was it for 10 years. And he said, this is not me. Now, is he weird? According to his family, he is. He he stopped being a doctor. His friends and family looked at him like, "Are you completely out of your mind?" He was like, "This is just my training, and I don't identify myself with the relationship as a doctor. I identify myself based on my values, and my values are not in line where I work. The system of the hospital makes it so difficult for me to operate, not as a surgeon, but as a human, and to do the things that he wants to do." And keeping, I'm hearing more and more of these kind of stories. People saying, I don't want to do this. I'm different than that. And there's the link with neurodiversity. A lot of people that have different brains that operate in a different way. Like if you're on the spectrum, you have autism, your thinking works in a different way, and you work at the office and your colleagues are not understanding you. You're constantly masking, you're not being yourself. There's a lot of stress. You just want to be that nerd who is deep diving into details and sometimes working in different ways, but being awesome, but it doesn't always fit. And why not look at that in a positive way?
So does this apply? I know we've been talking about on a very individualistic platform here, Does it apply to businesses and organizations as well?
Yes, definitely. First of all, it's the language. It's the language about linear, nonlinear thinking really helps. I'm a keynote speaker for companies, and I explain linear, nonlinear thinking, and then it goes into the organization, and people start talking about that. Oh, that's a very linear approach, sir. And it really helps to create the differences. But many people say that according to the bell curve, 80-20%, if 80% of your employees are neurotypical, are normal, are not weird, let's assume. And then we have 20%, they're weird, they're neurodiverse, they're different, and they're adjusting themselves to fit into the corporate life, to fit the box so they can be managed. What I find interesting, what I found out is that the 20% of people that are very nonlinear, who are able to understand their own mental being, so they allow chaos to be in their lives, they're more adaptive and they're creative and they like innovation. That's the group of people you want to focus on. In the next decade, everything will change because of AI. And you know, media is writing about this, that 40% of the CEOs think we need different thinking to survive the next decade. Where is this different thinking coming from? It's coming from the people in your organization, that group of 20%. So imagine you are a founder, a CEO of a company. Do you know who these nonlinear thinkers are? Probably not, because they're masking, they're trying to fit in. You need to discover, you need to rethink your leadership, because you want to make this very clear who these people are and start talking with them, because they are the different thinkers. According to other research, 90% of our thoughts are the same every day. So humans have the same thoughts for 90% every day. Think about that. So on Friday, you organize a creative session with your company, your management team, because, you know, it's not going very well. We want to increase the profits. We want to have better numbers. So what do? We brainstorm. We hire a creative consultant. He takes his post-its notes with him or her. And then we say to the management team, let's go to a different location, wear something comfortable, and we go brainstorming for a day. That's pure BS. 90% of our thoughts are the same every day. This is not the group of people that are going to create innovation because they love linear thinking. They love the systems. They don't want to change anything. So they are not the ones who are going to come up with some big ideas that can change everything. You need different thinking for that. That's also what we did in the Octopus movement. We've created a global think tank, and we allow this to be there for organizations as well. They can tap into the global nonlinear brain. And then you have a group of 40, 50 people from all over the world that are slightly different, maybe a bit weird, and they start thinking about a problem. This is how we solve the unsolvable. And then within an hour, we can write a white paper and come up with the most amazing ideas. And forget about ChatGPT, because that's a linear approach, which is absolutely brilliant. But you need creative, different thinking to create innovation and to make a change.
Well, everybody out there that's listening for the first time and learning about the Octopus movement, it is a place that if you feel that itch to explore the other path that we've talked about, that Perry is so well described here, you need to jump out and at least explore it, the Octopus movement. So Perry, thank you for being my guest. And please, before you leave, give us one little bit more advice, inspiration to think about not jumping ship per se, but exploring the other ship of nonlinear thinking?
We're so conditioned on what is your plan? What is the target? Maybe try to let go of that. Maybe read a book from Malcolm Gladwell, The Power of Thinking Without Thinking. Maybe dive into that. Explore that there's so much more than the linear approach that creates so many cool things. And people are asking me, how did I create the global movement of the Octopus movement, where we have over 7,000 members in 90 countries? And I just started with my laptop and an internet connection. It's because I didn't have a blueprint. I didn't have a business plan. I just said, let's bring these people together. Let's bring these nonlinear thinkers together. I call that the human mycelium. Let's connect. And one thing, Roger, that I'm very proud of, we don't have any rules. It's not a community. We don't have any rules. And it's growing every day. People are so happy with it because they can be themselves. We don't have any rules. So it's not about joining the Octopus movement when you're a nonlinear thinker, joining the Octopus movement when it resonates with you. And that's why it's the Octopus. It's 3 hearts, 9 brains, 8 arms. You know, it's who we are as well. Very sensitive, can learn fast, and we do lots of different things. And that's the Octopus.
So, Perry, thank you. And how can someone reach out and get in contact with you if they want to speak or learn more from you?
Go to our website, theoctopusmovement.org. You can find everything there. You can sign up for free to join our movement, be in the think tank, swim with other octopi, be in the book club, the film club, connect with others, be in the human mycelium. It's absolutely wonderful. People can find me on LinkedIn, Perry Knoppert. My nickname is Dr. Octopus. You will recognize me immediately. And you can go to pickmybrain.world. That's a cool platform for everyone to check out. I'm just a user of Pick My Brain. I didn't invent Pick My Brain, but you can find me there as well. And then you can book me for free for a 20-minute Zoom session so we can talk about whatever you want to talk about.
All right. Well, thank you once again.
Thank you, Roger.
My podcast wouldn't be the same if it wasn't for my sponsors and my great supporters. So let me take this opportunity to thank each and every one of them. First of all, I want to thank Rebecca at Custom Bookkeeping and Accounting, delivering trustworthy bookkeeping services since 2003. Dave and Dara at Virtues Matter, making this world a much happier place to be with their Virtues card apps, coaching, and workshops. Stephen at Buller Accounting, giving business owners depth and insight to their numbers. Eric and his team at Ivy Cat Web Design, the real superheroes of web development and design. Jennifer and Jean at the Seavers Real Estate Team, serving Pierce and Kitsap counties with their home buying and selling needs. Maury at the Maury Method, the world's only brainwave entrainment engineer, helping everyone have more clarity, less stress, and overall better brain health. Priya at Pivot My Profit, helping individuals and businesses have better control of their finances and more money at the end of their day. Melissa at the Soul Vibe Energy High, the queen of the aha moments, helping individuals find those holes in their cups, repair the hole, and gain back their positive energy. And finally, Rick at West Sound Recording. You talk, they do all the rest. Thank you, Rick, for all your efforts with the production and editing of my podcast.